most famous reindeer of all. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose.
Uh-oh. Death. What's the deal, everybody? It is cwilyt back here with another video. And guess what we're doing today? We're doing Whip or Skip. It's been a year since this video idea came out. And I did it with Tucker. If you haven't seen that, you'll see that in the description below or on the screen. But today, I'm joined with a very special guest, Sean.
Hi, how y'all doing? Hope y'all doing out good all there.
Tucker's back.
I don't know what I said.
Also with us is Tucker.
I've been dragged in here.
And we promise we're not holding them hostage. First car we'll be looking at in this video is from Joe Jackson. He sent this one in. A 1977 Trans Am Special Edition. Isn't that pretty cool?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they were special back then. They're special now. I mean, GM made a pretty good car with this. I mean, completely fair. I mean, what else do you want me to say? It's a good car. I agree.
I would say the F-bodies were a good choice, especially back in the late 70s, in this case, 1977. Of course, you got the Smokey and the Bandit car. Everybody knows that. Great choice by the filmmakers. It's a very nice and sleek design. And with all the specs that it's had at the time, I would say Whip for sure.
Next up, we got a 1973 Dodge Charger. I love Dodge Chargers, and I'm a little biased, so I'm going to say Whip.
I am not a fan of the Chrysler Motor Group. It is, in my opinion, the lower of the trio from Detroit. But I can't lie, they made a great car. They made it as a competitor with the Mustang and the Camaro from, its era. This is the first gen Charger. So, you know what? I can't lie. They made a good car. It was a real good competitor at the time. That generation of the Hemis was something to be reckoned with, so I'll whip it.
I would say Whip it too. I mean, the one thing I kind of have like a little bit that I don't really find all that interesting, or that more attractive, I should say, is when the headlights are up and they have to do a reveal, because I'm all used to the them being flipped down like you see in almost every picture. But I'll whip it. It's a nice car. It's, like I said, it's done a lot in history and it's a lot in pop culture.
The last one was from my friend Jeff. Next up, this one was a submission from my friend Luke, and this is a 2002 Renault Aventine. I've never seen this car before. It's very ugly. I think this is a skip.
Renault, you said?
Yes.
Renault. Okay, yeah, that's a French motor company. I don't know much about this French company, because they did try to come to the States as another brand, but I can't remember what it was. I think they came under like another popular European brand, but I just don't know enough about it, so I'm out. Skip it.
Yeah, this kind of looks like a Dollar Tree version of the Pope-mobile, so I'm gonna say skip.
I mean, yeah. Fair point.
Next up, we got a very strange car, and this one was also from Luke. This is a 1970 Lancia Stratos HF0.
I'm pretty sure this was a concept car that was from back then, if I'm not mistaken. I think they did come out with something later on, off of that similar style.
I think it's the one that blew him out there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really say. I mean, sure.
Expensive.
Yeah, Lancia, an Italian brand. They aren't over in the States. Sure, whip it. I don't care.
I really like the design of this car. It really reminds me of a lot of the 70s and 80s prototypes that trying to look futuristic. I would say whip it for sure.
I would say whip. It just, looks very expensive. Next up, we have, from the movie Cars 3, Cruz Ramirez, based on 2017 CRS Sports Coupe. I'm going to let y'all go first, gentlemen.
Smash your pass.
Would you whip or skip this car?
Alright, I will inherit the Markiplier face. Smash.
With that last move on the last lap during Cars 3, was it? I would say whip for sure. I mean, probably Ross Chastain took a little note from there, so I would say Whip.
Remember, she got that from the Hudson Hornet, the real goat. I'm just playing Chastain. But anyways, yes, I'm going to say Whip as well.
Ross Chastain's going to DDoS his location.
Next up in this video, we got a submission from my friend Evan, and this is a 1991 GMC Cyclone. This is definitely a whip for me. What about y'all?
This was GM's sleeper back at the time. This beat Ferraris in drag races. A pickup truck, 4.3 liter turbocharged V6, making, I think it was like right under 300 horsepower. I think maybe a little bit above, and it was doing amazing. It was beating all the American muscle. It was beating Ferraris in drag strip races. I'm not the biggest fan of GM, but once again, I gotta respect where this is at the time, and a lot of people regard this as the best fast truck. So, Whip.
Yeah, this almost kind of has like the same kind of body style as like most of the S10s and the.
It is. It shares the exact same body. The exact same frame as everything else. It's just it's GM's product.
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
mean GMC. Oh my god! It is GMC's product of the S10.
Well, I really like it. I've driven many S10s, and they've been great cars to me. And I can't say much about how the handling and performances with this, but what I've heard from him, what I've heard from other people, I would say Whip for sure.
Straight line car.
This is from my friend Alec, and this is a 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback. Really, really cool car. Looks pretty fast too, and yeah, I'm gonna have to say Whip for this off the bat.
You're asking the Mustang guy if he would drive arguably one of the best cars of all time created. Would he drive it? Of course I would. I mean, it's a Mustang. Whip.
Of course, most well known for the movie Bullet, but with Steve McQueen, one of the more well-known movie cars throughout cinema. I'm not a Ford guy. I'm not a Mustang guy, but I will say this is a very well-made car and a very beautiful car, and I'm gonna say Whip for sure.
Next up, we got a very interesting one here. This is a 1985 Mercury XR4Ti, and this is sent in from my friend Jimmy. Wow. It's kind of basic and plain to me. I'm gonna say skip.
That looks like something that Ford only made in Europe. I don't recognize this name, and it may be because it may not have ever went to the States. I could be wrong, but this looks like a European car. It sort of looks like if they took a Fox body Mustang and then just squished it. So I'm a Ford guy. I'm not going to I'm going to keep it real with you. Of course, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to Whip it.
I like the body style. It's very 80s, but, just from the way it kind of looks, I know don't judge a book by its cover, but I feel like the performance isn't that good, so I'm going to say pass.
It's probably a 4-cylinder.
I'll say mid. It would be mid.
It's very mid.
Very mid.
Mid. I mean, yes, it does look like that.
Next up, this one's also from my friend Jimmy, and this is a 1989 Lexus LS 400. Very cool looking car. I'm gonna say actually Whip for this one.
You go first. I'm trying to do a little bit of research.
From the way this car looks, I would say that this is in the transitional period of where the 70s and 80s boxy cars started getting a lot more smoother. And, this is the kind of car that you could see could be fitting around as a good daily driver for someone who doesn't want anything inexpensive. I don't know the price. But, I'll say Whip. It's a nice looking car. I respect Lexus and all their brands.
And this car is also known as the $1 billion Toyota Gamble.
I think if I heard something, they based this off the Toyota Century? Or no, that's probably something else. But I think the Toyota Century was kind of like like one of the more expensive Toyotas around the late 80s, early 90s as a coupe.
Tucker, why do you make that face?
Okay, so I am right about this. This came with a 1UZ V8 that Toyota made. It's a risk. I never heard of the story because I'm not really into JDM, but the 1UZ is known as one of the most tunable V8s ever produced, and that's because It's made by a Japanese company. They always make tunable engines. Very much a whip for me. I've heard of the LS400 before, but I couldn't remember why I knew it. But it's because of the 1UZ. Good V8. It's a very reliable, almost an American Light V8, 4-liter V8 whip.
Next up is the 1976 Oldsmobile Book Cutlass. It was the car of the year in 1976. I'm going to say whip.
It was the car of the year for a lot of, it was for like 2 or 3, 4 different years. This was at the time, you know, the people's car. So whip, I don't know much about its its motors, its performance. All I just known is that it was a very much bought up car. So whip it, fine.
Yeah, these Cutlasses were very nice. I love 70s cars. I love everything about them. The engines, although during the emissions and the gas crisis were a big downside. The Cutlass, I would say whip, but I would whip it. I would take a lot more if it was a 77 Hurst 442 edition, is which they used in about 1980 for the NASCAR season for super speedways like Talladega and Daytona.
We got another one from my friend Jeff, and this is a 1983 Manta Montage. So, wow, it is a really cool car. I know I have a toy car of this in my room somewhere. I don't know really how well it is, like how well it did performance-wise or whatever. I want to say whip.
This looks like one of those Italian Le Mans entrance kind of.
Yeah.
Like, this looks like a homologation special to me. It's very Italian, but I have my American roots. Europe, skip it.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about this. I mean, it looks like it's got a nice lightweight fiberglass body, which would be really great for performing, and from the picture,
Aerodynamics.
Aerodynamics is really good with the everything of that sort. And the engine is looks like it's about a mid-engine, and it looks like a very fun car to drive. I would say whip.
Better hurry up. The stores are being taken.
I know.
Stop recording.
Next up, we probably have one of the strangest cars we've had to rate, and this one is the 1973 Reliant Robin, which was also known as the three-wheel disaster and was used in Top Gear.
I was about to say, I seen this on a Top Gear episode of Jeremy Clarkson flipping over and just praying for dear life.
I'm going to say skip.
Skip it. Somebody drop a V8 in it. Drop a LS into it, and maybe I'll whip it.
If you drop an LS in there, you better have like 50 tons worth of lead pipe in the front end. But as much as I love that Top Gear episode, and as funny as it is to have it, I'm unfortunately gonna have to say skip.
Next up, we got one from my bro Peter Brushy, and he sent in a 1991 Suzuki Cappuccino. I've never heard of that name before, but I've seen this car. I'm gonna say skip for this one, actually.
It is a K car that was built in Japan, only in Japan. If I remember correctly, I think Suzuki, Honda, and there was another. I think it may have been like Mitsubishi or Mazda or somebody like that.
Mazda, yeah.
But they felt like there was a market for a small, reliable, like sportish looking car, and if you actually see, like, try to look at the link, they're super small. As tall as I am, I'm like 6'2", 6'3". I would still whip it because some people have managed to import these over to the States, and they've done some very questionable things with this car, but still whip it anyways.
I would say, yeah, if they brought these to the States and if Suzuki would like bring out more modern modifications to it and all that kind of stuff, like how Mazda's doing with Miatas, I would say whip it for sure. That'd be it'd be just as popular as the Miata has become today in the States.
We got a 1936 Stout Scarab, and as y'all gonna see our reaction there as we return the slide. Yeah, what is this car? This is very odd. Looks like a Beetle, sort of like in real life, but blue. I want to say, just for the memes, whip.
Stout? I've never heard of it. It probably went belly over in, the 50s or 60s, wherever this. Probably due to this mess. And Scarab, that's a car from Rocket League. That's not a name of a model. I'm out, skip.
This looks like a giant piece of bread, loaf of bread covered in possibly lead paint.
Yes.
as much as I'd like to drive it, I mean, I'm gonna have to say skip. Unfortunately, this is too. I don't want to be caught in rush hour traffic in that.
Next up, this is from my buddy Dedel Car on Instagram, and it is a 1985 Monte Carlo, and man, a beautiful beast. This is a whip.
Okay, for that one, I would definitely say whip. The only thing I would change is more period accurate as he's used. Decals look like it's about 2001, but besides that, if it was an Aero Coupe and it had more styles, it would say whip. But for that, just the way it is, I would say whip for sure.
You're putting a irresponsible 18-year-old in the hands of a NASCAR frame whip.
Next up, this one is an Infiniti G35 big single turbo. This one is from Nitish21 on Instagram. Man, this is a definitely interesting looking car. I like the light blue one. I don't like the other different shades of color. I'm gonna say whip.
If you actually heard what one of these modified sounds like, it is a trumpet. And it's what is it called? The VQ V6 from Nissan and Infiniti, what they share. No, skip it. It's well.
I mean, I'm kind of halfway in the middle. I mean, y'all have made some. It's a good looking car, but at the same time, performance. I don't know. I'm gonna say skip on this one.
Next up, this one is from Elijah. This is a 1999 Honda NSX. Very, very cool looking car. I'm going to say this is a whip. This is probably one of the coolest cars I've seen so far in this video.
Once again, another car that beat Ferrari. Not this time in the drag. Around the track. I can't remember where it was, but it was. This was known for being better than Ferrari in every single way. History behind it is amazing. Whip it for sure.
Yeah, I love the design. It's distinctly like when you see that. If you know it's a Honda, it's like that. And if you don't, even if you don't know it's a Honda, you're gonna know this is a really nice design car. I would say whip it for sure.
Another entry from Elijah. This is a 2022 BMW M3. Probably really, really expensive.
It is.
But it looks cool. I'm going to say whip. I'm sure it has some good qualities to it, of course.
I'm thinking if I remember correctly, the price tag is like sub $100,000, but it's like around the 90 range. Performance is great. All right, new and specifically, performance is great. Great around the track. It still comes in a manual transmission. It's amazing that the Germans actually did that. But like I said, I am too patriotic. I do not like European cars. I'm skipping it.
I will say this kind of hits me in a good way because it's sticking with the split down the middle, the two separate grills, which is what they did back in the 80s and 90s versions of the M3. And my uncle has had a few M3s, and it's very reminiscent of the roots of when they were like in the performance and they started coming over to the States and became more of a common sight to see. I would say whip for sure.
Last two cars we'll be looking at in this video is from my friend Chris Wilner, and the first one he sent in is a 1989 Ferrari Testarossa, I think is how you pronounce that. Wow, isn't this lit? I'm going to say whip.
Okay, and here you go once again, another European car out of the very bottom of my tier list of companies that I hate. Ferrari's at the bottom. Skipping it. I hate that stupid brand. Just buy a Ford GT if you want an actual car.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
I'm sorry.
I like Ferrari, and even though I'm being kind of basic, I do enjoy all the Ferrari designs. If you don't agree, but I like it, so whip for sure.
Last car of the video is the Lamborghini Huracan GTO. I would say skip just because it's probably really, really expensive.
I'm not trying to be the know-it-all nerd, smart aleck or whatever, but this is actually a Huracan STO, not a GTO. But now I know I was ragging on European cars a lot this video, but I actually like Lamborghini, and that's because Lamborghini, as a car company, was created to spite Enzo Ferrari. And this is a $500,000 amazing supercar. Love the design, love the performance by Lamborghini. Amazing job whipping it.
I would see this a lot in a bunch of the IMSA races, and it's a very. I love the design. It's overall got like very aerodynamic. From what I've heard from reviews, it's a very nice performance wise. So I would say whip.
Well, that's going to do it for the video. Y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Make sure to comment down below what your thoughts are. Let us know if we should do a part 3.
Please.
Thank you, Sean, for coming and doing this video with us, and
Yeah,
for
of
Tucker
course.
coming on again. And comment, like, and subscribe. If you don't, Santa will put coal in your stocking, and Tucker's car will blow up. So make sure to subscribe.
I need that.
So make sure to subscribe. And until next time, we're out. Peace. So make sure.